Let's get right into it. Number 10, follow your passion. The most overhyped scam in history. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the thing you call a passion was just a Pinterest quote someone shoved into your brain sometime around 8th grade. That's the problem with this rule. It sounds profound, but it's basically spiritual clickbait. You were told to follow your passion. What they didn't mention is that most people don't have one. At least not the kind that magically pays rent. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Human passion is unstable. It's emotionally volatile, unreliable, and heavily influenced by whatever TikTok told you was cool last week. Your brain treats passions like impulsive crushes, intense, dramatic, and almost guaranteed to fade once reality shows up with bills. Psychology time, but make it digestible. Most people don't find a passion and then become successful. They do something, get kind of good at it, and then passion appears like some late guest who only shows up after you've done all the hard work. That's because your dopamine system is basically a toddler who gets excited by whatever you reward it for repeatedly. You train it, not the other way around. But you were sold the fantasy that passion just destiny. That if you just trust the process, the universe will drop success on your doorstep like an Amazon package. The truth? Passion is a tool, not a GPS. And when you treat it like the whole roadmap, you end up lost. And somehow the map is on fire. So yeah, follow your passion. Sounds cute on a mug. But in real life, it's a fast track to disappointment unless you pair it with skills, consistency, and actual problem solving. Otherwise, you're just speedrunning a midlife crisis before you even hit 30. And the wild part? You were told this was the responsible choice. Number 9, be positive. Because emotional denial is so healthy, right? For a species that claims to be logical, humans have a shockingly high addiction to pretending everything is fine. Just be positive is the verbal equivalent of duct taping a crack in a sinking boat and hoping the ocean respects your optimism. You were taught positivity like it was some kind of emotional sunscreen. Apply it daily to avoid the harshness of life. But here's the twist. Forced positivity is just denial with better branding. When you shove negative emotions into a dark corner of your brain, they don't disappear. They lift weights, get stronger, and come back with rage issues. Your brain doesn't want to be positive, it wants to be safe. So it scans for threats constantly, even when you're lying in bed pretending gratitude journaling will fix everything. When you suppress emotions in the name of staying positive, your brain translates that as, cool, I guess we're ignoring the fire. Let's increase anxiety just in case. The real psychological truth is that balance beats positivity every time. Negative emotions are data. They tell you something's off. Pain isn't a glitch, it's feedback. But you were trained to treat discomfort like a moral failure, like you're a defective human for feeling overwhelmed or angry or sad. So you keep smiling, keep grinding, keep pretending you're fine. Until your nervous system eventually says, surprise, we're melting down today. Basically, positivity culture is just emotional avoidance wrapped in glitter. Number 8. Happiness is a destination. Spoiler, it isn't. Picture your brain on a treadmill, sweating, panting, convinced that if it just runs a little faster, happiness will magically appear at the finish line. That's the lie. Happiness isn't a place. It's not a milestone. It's not waiting for you on the other side of a goal like some prize in a vending machine. The entire destination happiness myth comes from something called the hedonic treadmill. Your brain gets used to everything. New car gets old. New relationship becomes normal. New job eventually feels like background noise. Your brain recalibrates constantly because it cares about survival, not sustained joy. But you were told, once I get this, then I'll be happy. A raise, a house, a partner. Abs, a better apartment with a window that doesn't face a brick wall. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You won't be, at least not for long, because your brain is always moving the goalposts, and society loves that. It keeps you consuming, working, striving, and chasing, Happiness as a destination is profitable. Happiness in the present? Not so much. The irony is that real happiness comes from systems, your habits, your relationships, your boundaries, not from achievements. Achievements give you a dopamine spike, sure, but systems keep your life from falling apart in slow motion. So, no, happiness isn't a final boss you beat once. It's more like daily maintenance. Less epic quest, more cleaning your room before it starts smelling weird. So, congratulations. The finish line you were chasing never existed. Number 7, you need to earn rest. The lie that keeps you exhausted. This one should come with a warning label because it's basically psychological malware. You were conditioned, by school, by work, by productivity culture, to believe rest is something you deserve only after suffering enough. It's like your worth is measured in how close you are to burnout. But here's the reality. Rest isn't a reward. Rest is maintenance. You don't earn sleep. You don't earn time off. Your body literally shuts down without it. Tying your value to your exhaustion level is like bragging that your phone is impressive because it's always at 3% battery. Your brain wasn't built for nonstop output. It was built for cycles, focus and recovery, stress and release, work and rest. But modern life acts like you're a robot powering a factory, not a human running on neurotransmitters that crash harder than the stock market. And here's the part nobody likes to admit. Most people aren't addicted to productivity. They're addicted to feeling worthy. And they use work to justify their existence because somewhere along the way they were taught that doing nothing means being nothing. But rest isn't laziness. Rest is functionality. Machines with no downtime break. Humans with no downtime break in more dramatic, emotional, expensive ways. So the rule, earn your rest, isn't just wrong, it's cruel. And the punchline? Productivity culture convinced you exhaustion is noble when really it's just slowly ruining your life. Number 6, good vibes only. The most passive-aggressive rule in existence. Picture yourself having a terrible day. Maybe work was awful. Maybe someone ghosted you. Maybe your brain is just being dramatic for no reason. You walk into a room and someone hits you with the verbal slap known as good vibes only. Congratulations! You've just been emotionally shut down with a slogan that belongs on a beach towel. This rule pretends to be about positivity, but really it's about emotional censorship. It teaches you that bad vibes, aka being human, aren't allowed. If you're stressed, you're a buzzkill. If you're anxious, you're draining the room. If you're sad, you're lowering the frequency, whatever that means. The truth? Real humans have a full emotional spectrum. You weren't built to be a walking mood board. Your nervous system isn't Spotify. You can't just skip to a happier track. Emotions don't disappear because you decided the aesthetic of the room matters more than your mental well-being. Psychology 101. Suppressed emotion becomes amplified emotion. If you choke down the bad vibes for too long, they resurface with interest. Panic attacks, irritability, burnout, random breakdowns over spilled coffee, the usual fun stuff. The wild part is people use good vibes only as a shield, not support. It keeps conversations shallow, relationships brittle, and everyone pretending they're fine when they're all quietly unraveling at home. So the next time someone demands good vibes only, remember, that's not emotional maturity, that's emotional cosplay. Number 5, happiness comes from other people. Approving of you. The external validation trap. You were trained for this one from childhood. Gold stars, grades, praise, being told you were good instead of being taught what you actually wanted. Society conditioned you to chase approval like a dog chasing a laser pointer, exhausting, pointless, and impossible to catch. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your happiness depends on the mood, reactions, or opinions of other people, your emotional stability is basically held together with chewing gum. Approval isn't happiness, it's a temporary sedative. It numbs insecurity for a moment, then disappears and leaves you wanting more. Your brain loves approval because it triggers dopamine, the "yay, I exist" chemical. But dopamine isn't joy, it's a lure. The moment you get enough likes, compliments, attention, whatever, your brain resets the target. You start needing more and more, and then a little more because the last hit didn't feel as good. That's how people become validation addicts without even realizing it. You start curating your personality based on what gets applause. You shrink the parts of yourself that aren't marketable. You perform happiness instead of experiencing it. But here's the irony. The more you chase approval, the more miserable you get. Because deep down, you know the version of you people like isn't actually you. It's a costume. Real happiness shows up when your self-worth isn't up for public voting. Otherwise, you're basically outsourcing your emotional life to a stranger's committee. Number 4, if you're not happy, you're doing life wrong. The modern guilt trip. This rule is sneaky because it hides inside all those live your best life and choose joy quotes that get reposted by influencers who haven't had a genuine emotion since 2014. Society gave you this idea that happiness is the default human setting, and if you're not feeling it, you're malfunctioning. But here's reality. Humans were not designed to be happy all the time. We're designed to survive, to notice threats, to anticipate danger, to freak out over tiny things because your brain still thinks wolves are hiding behind office furniture. Most of your mental software is ancient. Happiness was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to be a small bonus the brain gives you when you do something evolution approves of. Bonding, eating, not dying. That's it. But modern culture sells the fantasy that constant happiness is possible if you just buy the right candle, take the right supplements, or manifest hard enough. And when you inevitably fail, you blame yourself. You feel broken. You feel like everyone else has life figured out while you're sitting there, wondering why existing feels like juggling debt, exhaustion, and small existential dread. The truth? Not being happy all the time is normal. Feeling meh is normal. Feeling lost is normal. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. Keep you alive, not entertained. So no, you're not doing life wrong. You're doing it human. The lie was expecting happiness to be permanent in the first place. Number 3, you can think your way into happiness. The overrated power of thoughts. Picture this. You're stressed, overwhelmed, spiraling, and someone says, just change your mindset. Ah, yes, thank you, magical stranger. Let me simply flip the switch in my brain labeled suffering to the off position. This rule pretends the mind is some kind of all-powerful boss, but the truth is far less flattering. Thoughts aren't the CEO, they're the interns. Noisy, messy, constantly making mistakes, and definitely not qualified to run the place alone. You were told that happiness is a thinking problem, that if you had the right affirmations, the right mindset, the right level of mental strength, you could override biology and trauma and exhaustion and become a glowing beam of joy. But psychology says otherwise. Emotions are rooted in your body, hormones, nervous system signals, past patterns. You don't think your way into happiness, you behave your way into it. Actions change mood far more reliably than thoughts ever could. Go outside, talk to people, fix your sleep, move your body, set boundaries. These change your emotional baseline. Mindset helps, sure, but only when the engine underneath isn't already on fire. So if you've been trying to outthink sadness or anxiety, that's like trying to fix a car by whispering positive affirmations at the engine. Your thoughts aren't steering the ship. They're passengers yelling suggestions. Number 2, you'll be happy once you fix yourself. The self-improvement illusion. This one hits like a brick because it's the lie you've been marinating in for years, maybe decades. You were sold the idea that happiness is waiting for you after you upgrade yourself, after you fix all your flaws, after you become the polished, optimized, perfectly healed version of yourself that, spoiler alert, doesn't exist. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Humans aren't software updates. There is no final version of you coming out next spring with bug fixes and performance improvements. You don't get patched into a better person. You grow, then relapse, then grow again, then repeat that cycle 400 more times because being human is messy and nonlinear. But society loves to market the fantasy of the fixed self. It keeps you consuming books, courses, supplements, skincare routines, productivity hacks, healing rituals, all promising that once you fix your internal glitches, happiness will arrive on schedule. Your brain eats this up because it hates uncertainty. It wants a clear target. Fix X, then feel good. But happiness doesn't work like a math problem. You don't unlock joy by completing a checklist of emotional quests. Psychology shows that pursuing self-improvement from a place of self-hatred actually worsens well-being. If the foundation is, I'm not enough, then every improvement becomes proof that you're still failing. It's a treadmill disguised as a healing journey. And here's the twist. You don't need to fix yourself to be happy. You need to accept yourself enough to build a life that actually fits who you are. Flaws included. Happiness grows in supportive environments, not in perfection. So no, you're not waiting for new you to arrive. You're waiting for the moment you realize you didn't need a newer version in the first place. Number 1. You can live a happy life without discomfort. The lie that breaks everyone now for the crown jewel of misery-making rules. The lie that happiness and discomfort are opposites, and that you can somehow build a good life without ever feeling lost, scared, awkward, or painfully unsure of yourself. This rule is the emotional equivalent of bubble wrap parenting. Protect yourself from everything hard, everything painful, everything uncertain, and happiness will blossom. Except, no. The human brain literally cannot grow without friction. Discomfort is how you adapt. It's how you learn. It's the tax life charges for meaning. But you were told discomfort is failure. Struggle is failure. Being confused is failure. So every time you hit a hard moment, you assume something's wrong with you instead of realizing this is the process. Your desires, your dreams, your ambitions, every single important thing in your life requires discomfort as the entry fee. Confidence is built through awkwardness. Wisdom is built through mistakes. Joy is built through contrast. You can't appreciate light without knowing dark. You can't appreciate calm without surviving chaos. Psychology backs this up. People who avoid discomfort end up more anxious, more depressed, and more fragile. Your nervous system becomes like someone who's never exercised, weak and easily overwhelmed. But you were told happiness is supposed to feel smooth, effortless, aesthetically pleasing, Instagram-level peaceful. And when it doesn't, you assume you messed up. Here's the reality the happiness gurus won't tell you. You can have comfort or growth, but not both at the same time. And the people living genuinely meaningful, satisfying lives aren't the ones avoiding discomfort. They're the ones walking straight into it, not because they know that's where real happiness starts forming. So no, discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the doorway. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them,